Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Usually when I give a talk, I ask a couple of questions from people on what they want me to talk, because there is no preparation for Dhamma talks in my case. And I can give you a couple of topics if you would like to choose one from them. Or you can give me a topic and maybe I can explore on that. Would you like me to talk about dealing with negative emotions? I don't see any response. Couple of people, yeah. Or else I can talk about meditation something related to meditation.
Meditation, I think, is a good topic.
Okay. Now she approved both topics, and which one should we pick from now? Let's put them both together and start maybe. Okay, let's see where it goes. We can relate meditation and dealing with negative emotions both together. So, Most Venerable Bhante Anuruddha just introduced me a little bit, and he said, you received a flyer with some information about me. Please forget whatever you read about me for now, because that kind of history doesn't help until you really open your ears and open your heart to listen to what I am going to say. That is where we interact, not from my history. I hope you understand what I just told you. From now on, we have our own way of dealing with each other, and any time when I am giving this talk, you can push the button to stop me and ask questions. Because if you have doubts, you will not go very far. And I may relate how to deal with negative emotions and meditation both in this talk. And I will give you a chance to ask questions at the end of the talk. We'll be talking for about 45 minutes. And then it will be the time for you to ask questions. So I'm very happy to be here in Houston, far away from Boston. This is heaven for me, because you know what is happening right now in Boston. It's very cold. And I wake up every day with icicles outside the window, and that is what the life has been for me. And as soon as I touched the ground in Houston, it was such a pleasure to breathe here without having a coat around me. So thank you for inviting me to Houston Buddhist Temple. It is my pleasure to see you all and share some Dhamma with you. So let's start talking about food first. So this relates to one of the discourses that I find in Samyutta Nikaya. Samyutta Nikaya is one of the collections that we have in the 5 Nikayas in Buddhism. Nikaya means a collection of discourses. They are categorized into long discourses and middle length discourses and gradual discourses, connected discourses and small discourses, small collections of books. So in that collection, the connected discourses is the collection that I am picking from today for the start. In this sutta, we find a very interesting piece of Dhamma that has been shared by the Buddha on food. We like to talk about food, and we never go hungry for long. We try to eat something, put something in, and appease the hunger. We are accustomed to do that. That kind of food was not the food that the Buddha was interested in. That food, what we do usually is, we wake up in the morning, we wash ourselves and prepare something to eat. That will be some fruits. We wash them first and we cut them into pieces and we prepare them nicely. Sometimes we cut apples that look like flowers. Very beautiful. And we prepare them before we eat. Don't we do that? Yes, we do that. And also, after finishing the breakfast, we do our own things and we start preparing our lunch in 2-3 hours. That will be a little heavier than what we ate for breakfast. We don't eat rice as soon as we see rice. We don't eat lentils as soon as we see lentils. What do? We wash them and we put them into a little cooking pot, and then we add ingredients and we cook. And we add whatever we like and we make a nice meal. And we serve it to the table in a very nice, beautiful manner. That's what we do. And then we ask everybody in the family to get together and start having the meal. So we feel hungry after another 4 hours, 5 hours later. And at night we grab something to eat. It might be a snack, a supper, or whatever that you like to have. So this is our eating routine. What happens to the food after you finish eating? It goes into your stomach, it starts digesting, and the body knows what to take and what to remove. The body has a very nice technique to take what it needs, what is necessary for the body, and to remove the unnecessary stuff. Right? And we know what to eat and we know what not to eat. We know this is poisonous, we know this is not poisonous. We know this is sweet, we know that is bitter. We know this is healthy, we know that thing is not healthy. But that kind of food was not the food that the Buddha was interested about. He has barely mentioned about such types of food. The food that the Buddha was interested in was about the food that you eat from 6 mouths. For gross food, we just have only 1 mouth, right? But for the food that we eat from the 6 mouths are the food that we don't usually talk about. We eat from the eyes, we eat from the ears, we eat from the nose, tongue, the body and the mind. Did you ever think that you eat from those faculties? And how many times do we eat? How many times do we eat? All the time, very good. 24 hours. Even while you are in the sleep, you keep eating, right? While you are dreaming, you keep eating. There is no time. Do you wash any food before you put them into your mouth? Well, the gross food that you eat, of course, you are used to wash them, but the other types of food, the food that you take from your eyes, do you wash them? You forget to wash them. If you are mindful, of course, you have been in retreats and you have been to many Dhamma talks, so you know that at that time, of course, you are very mindful, you know every movement you are taking. At that time, you know that you are not really eating from your eyes, ears, or any such faculties. But there are times that you forget. And such times go beyond your control. So let's look at the food that you eat from your mouth. What happens to the food if your body doesn't know what to do with it? If the body doesn't have a technique to keep what is good and to remove what is not good, what will happen to you? What will happen to you? The food starts getting rotten inside your body and you will get sick. Within a day it happens. But the food that you kept eating from your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, the body, and through the mind, how many years have you been eating like that? How many years have you been not purifying your mind? You kept going. If you are, so let's imagine you are 10 years old and you have the food that you have eaten for 10 years in your memory, in your mind. And if you have been living for about 30 years, you have 30 years of food that you have stored in your mind. What if you have been living for 60, 70 years? You have 60, 70 years of stuff that you have stored in your mind. And they get rotten and eventually you never know how to get rid of some rotten stuff in your mind. You create your own background, your own history, and when we look at some people, we know that particular person is a grumpy person. Stay away from that person. You advise to your friends, that particular person is not a good one to hang around. And then, when you see some other people who get really messy at times, you say, that particular person is a messy person. That person's nature is to confuse with everything and make a mess. So let's stay away from that person. And you also know the very friendly person, the one who has some sense of humor, the one who loves you so much, and you always want to be with them. You dream of being with them, you make time to be with them. You are not being controlled by them. Because you have the freedom in that place, therefore you want to be there with that kind of person. So what has happened eventually in your mind is that you have collected so much stuff and they smell bad and you even never know how to wash them off and have a clean, neat personality, clean, neat mind for yourself. So what is the technique that we have to purify our mind? Yes, meditation is the technique. We call it bhavana in Pali. The very meaning of bhavana, meditation means that you meditate upon something. But the actual meaning of bhavana means developing. Chittam bhaveti, developing the mind. It's more than meditation. So you always make an effort to develop the mind through certain techniques, certain skills, and you train it in such a way that it brings peace and happiness to you. If you start meditating now, the rotten stuff in your mind will be getting reduced little by little. And there will be a time that you have some freedom. Then you like it. And you want to be there in that freedom. And you develop that kind of mind. And you know how you develop that kind of mind. You know what is left to be done. So this kind of mental exercise is very necessary for any person in any age. Because when you open your mouth, it takes time for you to realize that you have just complained about something or someone. And you make a phone call to someone. Then it takes some time for you to realize that it was just a gossip call. You didn't have to go on talking about this and that. You go in Facebook, it takes about 5 hours for you to realize that you just wasted your precious time on unnecessary stuff. Watching this, watching that, and going to this news, and you can't remember anything at the end. Just because you have been confusing with all sort of stuff that everybody in the world brings at you on your screen. You live with the whole world in your mind, which is too much for you. So the deeper you go into the mind, you realize that there are certain poisonous stuff that you didn't have to keep. And it is a total personal game. It's you who decide what should be done and what should. Everything is your own responsibility. You realize that. You can't complain to your mom, you can't complain to your dad, you can't complain to your wife or husband or anything that has been happening to you. It is all about your mind. What is the first stanza in Dhammapada? I know that Houston Buddhist Vihara has been giving many Dhamma talks to you. I know that you all know this verse. Exactly. Mano pubbang gama dhamma. What is it exactly saying? If you act with negative emotions, manasache paduttena, if you have bad emotions in you, if you have anger, bahasativa karotiva, if you open your mouth and break silence and speak a few words, tatona dukkha manveti, it brings what? Dukkha, suffering. You regret for what you said. And the other people, they also suffer, they also feel bad that this person is saying this and that. So that's the very beginning of the Buddha's message, to learn how to deal with this mind. That is what in that Sanyutta Nikaya Sutta, which is called, actually it's called Ahara Sutta, the discourse on nutriments, the food. But then, what is the second verse? Second stanza in the Dhammapada. The same. Mano pubbang gama dhamma, mano setta manomaya. Mind is the forerunner. Mind is the great. Mind made are they. Manasache pasannena. If you have a pleasant mind, positive emotions, happy emotions, if you have that pleasant mentality, and bhasativa karotiva, if you break some words and you do certain things, tatonang sukhamanveti, what happens? It brings happiness, serenity, pleasure. It comes to you. You don't have to ask it to come. It comes at you. Like what? Chayava anapayani. Like your own shadow. So this is the very beginning of the Dhammapada verses. And this is the very beginning of dealing with your own emotions. Now, in the Native American culture, there is this story about two wolves that are in constant fight within yourself. One is the bad wolf. The other one is, of course, the other one is the good one. The good one wants to be happy, to be joyful, to do things that brings you happiness, to help others, to show your gratitude, to listen to the Dhamma, to practice meditation. That's the good wolf. The bad wolf always wants to practice, to hate someone, yell at someone, show your anger at someone, to be lazy and to waste your time, to go into Facebook, to use Twitter, to keep watching stuff in YouTube, to go to this website and that website. See? To poke someone and get somebody's attention. That's the bad wolf. They are in a constant fight. And who wins? Exactly, the one you feed. The one you feed always wins. If you feed the bad one wins. If you feed the good one wins. So when monks are around, how would you behave? You go to the monk and you talk to them, Venerable Sir, how are you feeling today? How may I help you? Would you like to have some drinks? The little kids, I've seen some kids doing that. They go to the monks and they show some respect and they ask, how are you doing today? This happened in Toronto, so those kids were so good. When we were visiting some families, they will be the first ones to welcome us. They stop playing, they keep all their play tools away, all the toys away, and they come to us. They sit in front of us. They bring us to the seat and then they sit in front of us and they start talking to us. Where have you been all these days? How are you feeling today? So these kids kind of interact in a nice way. They show that they are very grateful that there are these monks available for them to learn some wisdom from the Buddha. This is how you start, even in Sri Lanka. You may remember that this is how you have been growing up in a Buddhist country. You go to the temple, you bring food on a particular day, and you prepare the best meal that you ever have eaten to offer for the monks. You do that. You have so much preparation, so much devotion, and you keep a distance when talking to monks. And you make sure that everything, you may have problems in your house, but you make sure that the monks are safe and they have everything they want. That's what they do. Coming to a very remote place from Sri Lanka, far away from Sri Lanka, you miss that. But now here in Houston, you have this wonderful place. This temple is as old as my age. Started in 1988. I was born almost in 1988. So it's about 27 years and my age is the same. And you have this place. So the people who were here before 1988 know their history of going to places very far away to look for a monk, to listen to Dhamma talks. But now they have this place here. They have monks living here. They can learn what is good and what is bad. They have a place to go away from temples. Of course, you have all these other places to go, pleasure parks, and if you like to go to a church, you can go there. They have silent places. You can just stay and do some practice of meditation. Now, this is also a place that you have been going to, you have been visiting for a long time, and you are accustomed to deal with the Buddhist culture, and you have it here. So in such a place, when I see kids, I would love to talk about how they grow up, how they have all sort of questions like, why do these parents bow to monks? It doesn't make any sense to them, because in their schools such things are not taught. So I mentioned the word gratitude a couple of times. The reason that you bow is to show your gratefulness. In the Western culture, how do you show your gratitude? So I will ask from you, from this group here, so when your dad, when your father gives you something, what will you do? Think as a Western child, a person who grew up in the West. You say thank you, right? What else will you do? Exactly, you give a hug. You give a hug. If you are tall enough, somehow you jump over to your dad and you give a hug. That's one of the good qualities that you have. In the Asian culture, we bow. We touch 5 parts of our body to show our gratefulness. We kneel down and we touch our forehead on the ground. So we do that. What is this place called? Elbow? So we touch these also on the ground, and our 2 hands on the ground. That much gratefulness, that much respect that you show. And when you say thank you, or when you say stuti in Sinhalese, what are you doing? You are acknowledging that you are very happy to have this help. So that's what you have been doing in the Buddhist culture, in the Asian culture. Also in the Indian culture, they have that practice. Those 2 qualities are called Katana and Cutaway. Katana means you are very grateful. Cutaway means you acknowledge, you have the acknowledgement that you are saying that you acknowledge that you are happy to have this offer received to you. When you have such good qualities, you become very humble, down to earth person. You are welcome at any place. And then you have all these friends around you to help you in any bad time. So I will tell you my own story. I was 16 when I became a monk. I was having lots of bad emotions in me. I grew up in a Buddhist family, and my father was a very hot-tempered person. He was very much controlling our house. And my mom is the opposite of him. She is very silent. She doesn't control any one of us. She's working like a machine. She just cook and feed us and take care of ourselves. She does all those things. And because my father was a kind of a very angry person, there was, so age 16, you start disliking certain things, like you don't really understand what your parents are doing. And you have a feeling like you have to kind of escape from the home. That's what I did. I told to my father that I'm not going to be in home. I will study by myself. So our house is in Madara. So I was going to go to Colombo to support my own studies, work and get some money and support my own studies. And because I had very good friends, they took me to the temple. They said, "You're not going to go anywhere. Let's go to the temple." So that's the importance of having a temple. So we all went to the temple, and the abbot of the temple, what did he tell me? He said, we of course we are very afraid to talk to him because we don't really go any closer to him usually. We have fear towards them. And as soon as I went to the temple, he told me, "Just stay in the temple. You are not going anywhere." Of course, you don't really go beyond his words. You left home, that's true. And now you start simply missing home, and you are wondering what your parents are doing now. You are waiting for them to come to the temple. But because my father was very unhappy for what I did, he had lots of hopes. I was studying biology, chemistry and physics to become a doctor those days. And now I'm not home. My father's dreams are kind of being faded away now. He sent my mom to the temple to take me home. And I was not the one who went. I didn't say yes. I was hiding whenever someone came. Of course, when I was a small child, at the age 11, I wanted to become a monk, but my father wouldn't allow me. He read the horoscope and he thought I'll be studying very well. I will be the only one who will be supporting the family and all sorts of those things. We read the horoscope and we have that tradition, so we believe in it. And somehow, within a month, the monk in the temple asked me whether I would like to become a monk or not. By the time he has given me certain books to study, and I have been memorizing them, and I was doing really well. In a way, I was enjoying living with those little monks in the temple. They were so nice, and they are pleasant. They are always happy, and they kind of share their lives, be with you, and they are not in a rush all the time, and I like that kind of attitude. And when the abbot of the temple asked whether I'd like to become a monk or not, I didn't say anything actually. In my mind I was saying no, but I wanted to see what was going to happen. And I was liking yes also at the other side, just to hurt my parents. So they read my horoscope and they realized that I have this kind of chances of becoming a monk. They took me back to home. Actually, they asked me to go home to get the permission from parents. It's a tradition to get the permission from parents before you become a monk. My father didn't even look at me. He thought this is not going to happen. My mother didn't say anything. I just bowed to them, which was the permission I received, and I went ahead, and the mother, my mom, came to the ceremony, and my sister was there, and my father was not there. Somehow the ceremony happened, and I was a monk after that. And my father still didn't visit me for some years. He thought every year he went to read the horoscope, and the whoever read the horoscope said, I will be coming back home within a year. It's been 10 years now, and I didn't go home. I didn't turn back. And now my father is a monk. He slowly started changing. And my little brother also became a monk. So this is how how far connected we are to the message of the Buddha, the dispensation of the Buddha. So as soon as I became a monk, I could let go of the heavy studies like studying biology, chemistry and physics. It was a freedom for me, to tell the truth. And then I started liking the study of the discourses of the Buddha directly in Pali language. The only thing that my teacher asked me to study was the Pali language. So the more I studied Pali language, the more I was able to go directly into the words of the Buddha, the direct discourses of the Buddha. The Pali language is the closest language to the language spoken by the Buddha. So I was really being fascinated with the words of the Buddha, and I was going to retreats in every study break I had. That helped me to become usually the best student in wherever I studied. No exaggeration. The only secret behind that is liking in meditation. I had friends who were practicing meditation on regular basis. Because I had such friends, I was able to have a very peaceful mind in everything I studied. Of course, I was studying the things related to Buddhism, Buddhist philosophy, mental culture, and I even did a research related to emotional regulation and mindfulness that we did in Europe, and it was a very successful research. We picked people who did meditation, and we also took a control group and we tested them on fMRI machines, and we had very positive results. Just because they practiced some simple techniques of mindfulness, meditation on regular basis, they had the capacity to cope with their emotions far better than the ones who didn't do any type of meditation. So which is why I always have the fascination, the interest in talking about emotions and meditation. So I told you that meditation is developing your mind. It's not just that you realize that everything is dukkha, everything is impersonal nature, which is completely wrong. You need to understand the part where the contentment lies, where the happiness lies. That is when you start really becoming a Buddhist. So if somebody asks a question like, what do you believe in Buddhism? What will you give as the answer? I will ask a counter question like, what do you mean by believing? Because we are not supposed to believe anything unless you really practice it and you see it for yourself. Even the Buddha himself asks to question him. The Buddha will say, I am the Buddha. But your duty is to ask questions and really see whether he is one or not. There were some people during the Buddha's time who followed the Buddha for 7 years to see whether the Buddha had those qualities that he claimed to have. The Buddha is said to have had 32 noble qualities, great man's qualities, and some people were interested just to check whether he had them or not. Until they saw them, They were not going to believe in everything that the Buddha said. And the Buddha was praising such people. Just because they are inquisitive, they are not having the blind faith. For the Western children, I am always asking them to ask questions whenever you have a chance. It's okay to have doubts on what your parents are doing. It's okay to have doubts on why we are offering flowers, why we are offering lights and candles and all sort of things. It's okay to have doubts. It's okay to feel negative about it. But you shouldn't stop there. That's why I brought the two words gratitude and acknowledgement. We show the gratitude and acknowledgement to the Buddha that we have discovered the truth in the world. As soon as you close your eyes, what is in front of you is the truth. As soon as you close your eyes, you start seeing the truth and you realize what a truth that this suffering is. That's a noble truth. That's an eternal truth. The truth is always there. Why do you really close your eyes? To observe something, to make a decision. Usually when you make hard decisions, what will you do? You close your eyes. Even for meditation, you close your eyes. That is when you stop seeing everything else out there. And you are into your own world. You start seeing things in a clearer manner. And eventually your ears turn off. Your brain is not sending any signals to your ears, to any sense objects anymore. And the other sense organs, they also start to turn off. When all those sense organs have turned off, what is left is your mind. And now you are seeing all the truths right before you. You are seeing everything. And then you start to observe how this truth of suffering arises. What really happens? When you become an observer, not a controller, when you become an observer, you simply understand the very nature within you. You realize that this is how anger occurs. This is how happiness occurs. When conditions are ready, you will be happy. When conditions are ready, you will be unhappy. And you will see how each and every moment of your mind works. And you will know where to catch and where to stop. By understanding such techniques, you stay uplifted. You stay as a very happy person. And that happiness has to be there with you in whatever you do. Even if you are going to work, if you bring all the heavy stuff into your mind, you are not really working, you are just carrying things in your mind. It's like carrying those rotten potatoes instead of carrying the good ones. The rotten part is very heavy as long as you carry it. If you put all those rotten potatoes down and you know the good ones, they don't smell bad, they are not heavy for you. Just keep going. You can go to work only on the payday. You get paid just because you worked all the other days. You can just go to work on Fridays just because the next day is a holiday for you. So every day is not a very relaxing, happy day. It's the same with meditation. Every day is not your best day in meditation. There are some cloudy days, gloomy days, and there are some very good days. But the good days come just because you have been having those gloomy, cloudy days with your mind. You need to understand that. When you really understand such nature, you tell to yourself, this too shall pass. Let it pass. I'm staying here. I let myself be with this. I know this is fearful. I know this is exhausting. I know this is really bad. It hurts very bad. Let it be there. Nothing is going to remain forever. You will find peace and contentment right there. What is the highest wealth that the Buddha taught us about? Santutti, satutta, happiness. The contentment is the highest wealth. For contentment, most of the school, college children in these countries, in the West, they test different drugs and weeds and all sort of things that they shouldn't test on. They have LSD here, they have marijuana here, they have all these things in schools. The children who grew up with good parents know that it's bad for your chemicals, for your body. You know that you are asking your friends to stay away from them. You think that it gives you happiness, but it doesn't. The happiness comes not from such chemicals, it comes from your realization, your understanding. By learning how to deal with negative emotions, by learning how to be happy here and now, not in the past, not in the future. The past has happened. In one of the stanzas, the Buddha said, Yassa papam katan kammam. Whoever may have done bad things in the past, that brings unhappiness to you. Whenever such things come to your mind, you feel bad that it happened and you kind of don't like it. You kind of fight with it. But, kusalena pitiyati, if you do good stuff, to make others happy, to make everyone feel joyful, so imang lokam pabhaseti, that kind of person illuminates the world. You can see when such person passing by, you see that light in their face. Doesn't matter what color of skin they have, they carry the light with them. They share the pleasant words with the other people. They have that contentment with them. So imang lokam pabhaseti abbha muttova chandima. That is in Pali. You know, when the moon is covered with clouds, there is no moonlight coming down to earth. But when the moon is free from clouds, it's very beautiful and pleasant, and you like it. And that type of person who has forgotten the past and who live right now, right here, content and happy, accepting whatever that comes, not trying to fight with it, not trying to react on it, is the person who brings up that light, the happiness, to the people who are dealing with them. Because your maturity depends on who you are with most of the time. And you need to find people who brings that maturity to you. It's not your body that decides your maturity. It's not your age that decides your maturity. I have seen very young kids who are very mature. The parents don't have to be behind them. They are not, you don't have to keep eye on such beautiful, wonderful kids. They are smart. I know all these kids are also smart. You are smart, you are smart, you are very smart. I can see it in your eyes. You are going to be very smart students. You will be engineers, you will be doctors, you will be very beautiful people in the world. That smartness comes from your heart. You are the one who awakens into this beautiful nature, and as you associate with good ones. It's like a lotus that blooms. The petals on the outer surface are dirty, but as it gets sunlight, it starts waking up, it starts blooming. And the petals inside are very beautiful. It has a fragrance. You feel like touching them. You feel like staring at that beautiful petals in the lotus for a long time. You are the one who awakens your mind from such negative emotions, from whatever that you have dealt in the past. It doesn't matter whatever that happened. Because if you look at this physical eye, can you say that this is me? This eye is me? Can you say that? It's not a difficult question. Can you really say that this is me? You know how this eye comes and how it disappears. It comes with you as you are born, and it goes away. It gets destroyed as you die. Is it you? It's not you. It's not the point. So can you say the objects that you see, these different objects, can you say that this is you? No. And now you have eye consciousness. You realize this is a fan because you have eye consciousness and eye contact. So can you say that eye consciousness that just arose and passed away is you? The eye consciousness is a simple question. You are conscious that this is there. Can you say that this is you? What happens? Eye consciousness arises and passes away. Then when you have eye contact with this, you look at something else and that contact has gone. Can you say that this eye contact, is it you? No. Where is you then? Please read Majjhima Nikaya 148, which is called Chachakka Sutta, the sixth set of six. It goes through all these sense doors and all the consciousnesses, all the objects that you experience and all the contacts that you experience, and asks the question whether it is you, yourself. Can you say it as yours or yourself? You will definitely intellectually you'll give the answer no to also all those questions. This is a mental exercise, and then you really close your eyes and start observing that nature, and you realize that this is true. How wonderful that there is no person. This is totally an impersonal nature. There is nobody here. So who is there to worry? Who is there to carry all these heavy things in the mind? So make it a habit to observe your mind every day, because in Satipatthana Sutta you find the discourse on establishing mindfulness. You find the techniques that if one is observing the mind while you are doing anything, yatha yathava panasa kayo panihito hoti, whatever way your body is disposed, tatha tathanam pajanati, you know, in all sort of ways. You are ever mindful. So it's not that you are observing every single thing that your body does. One of the famous monks, he's Venerable Pemasri from Kanduboda Vipassana Meditation Center. He was practicing meditation for 15 years in Burma, and he goes to take a bath into the river, and he takes his robes, and he thinks that now he's taking robes, I'm taking robes, and he's putting on sandals, and he's thinking now, I'm putting on sandals. Now he's walking to the river, he's thinking now, I'm walking. And he does all these, he's observing all those things. And when he reached to the place, to the port where he takes bath, he finds that he has forgotten soap. And his friends complain, you are not mindful. And then he really started thinking, what really is mindfulness? And he went back to the Satipatthana Sutta, the discourse on establishing mindfulness, and found that mindfulness is not really contemplating or really reciting on the activities that you are doing every day. Mindfulness really is about what happens in your mind when you are doing anything in your life. It's just all about a mind game. Whatever that happens in your mind, you know how the mind's movements happen, how mind's attention moves from one thing to another, and you observe that. And then you sharpen your memory, you sharpen your mindfulness, you start seeing things very clearly. Doesn't matter what has happened to your body. That is when you start having real fun with your meditation. Even when a pain occurs, you don't need painkillers. You know that painkillers are bad for your body. You just observe how this pain occurs. And now you simply start sending love to the place where there is that pain. You love yourself. You heal yourself. You relax into that spot. And you simply start observing that nature, the nature of impersonality. You see how these mind contacts happen, and you catch from the root, and you are able to you don't show that kind of tension in you. You are totally fine. You come to that kind of state. Even when the Buddha was sick, the Buddha asked monks to remind the Buddha about coming to a state of mindfulness. It's an awakening factor. It's called a bojjhanga in Buddhism. And from that point onwards, you keep practicing on investigating your mind, and you come to some sort of effort and energy. You have that energy, and you have some tranquility, and gradually you start having some joy, and that joy is the painkiller. Joy is the balance, and you kind of keep going, and you come to a very balanced state of your mind. Equanimity is there. With that balanced state of your mind, you are ready to accept whatever that comes. This is called upekkha in Buddhism. So suddenly somebody will come and say that, oh my gosh, that person just hit his car and met with an accident and died right there. Will you be the one who will be shaken and will be weeping, beating your chest against your chest, and you are crying also? You never stop. You will not do that if you have that equanimity, peace in your mind, the balanced state of your mind. You will know what you are supposed to do. From that point onwards, starting from that person, you will be radiating love and kindness to that person and to all beings. And you know that's the best thing to help to the victim, to the person who just died, to the person who just suffered. These shootings happens in these schools here. You read such things, you hear such, you watch news, and you come to know that. You will never be shaken. You radiate your love and kindness to that place. That's the best thing you do. You go to a funeral and you are not the one who cries, you weep. You are not the one who does that. You start giving your love and equanimity and the balanced state of your mind. Soon you will observe the difference, that everybody else will stop crying. This is really true. You will see someone really suffers with anger. You start radiating love and kindness. It makes a wall around you. It protects you. And that wall, wherever you go, the wall of protection comes with you and protects you. So find that wall, find that safe place within yourself, and learn to have your hearts as close as possible to every person living with you. So I will conclude with one little story that you may have heard about this story, but it's a very beautiful piece to bring home. It's about, it's not from Buddhism actually. I don't find that story in Buddhism. So this is from Hinduism. There was a Hindu sage. He was going somewhere with his students, and he ended up passing a river. As he was passing the river, he saw a group of people yelling at each other, screaming and kind of fighting. And as soon as he saw that group of people doing that, he stopped for a moment and he looked at his students and asked, "Why are they yelling at each other?" The students said, "Guru, teacher, they are angry at something. That's why they are yelling at each other." But then the teacher said, "Well, they are just living next to each other. They don't have to yell. They can just tell whatever they want. Why do they have to yell so we also hear it?" And the students forced for a while to think, actually what is really happening here? Of course, they are right next to each other. They are just raising their voice, but they could have spoken in a very slow way. And the teacher knew that the students were thinking, that didn't have the answer in them. And the teacher said, when you yell at someone, when you have anger towards someone, you have a very great distance between hearts. So in order for the other person to hear your voice, you raise your voice. You think that the other person is very far away from you, which is why you raise your voice and say things in a loud voice. What happens when you love someone? You sit very tight. You don't even talk, but you know what the other person is thinking. That is how close you are. Your voice is very soft and beautiful. You know every single movement that the other person is going to make. And sometimes the best piece of this is that when your hearts have gone too far, sometimes it's very difficult for you to find your way back to the heart of the other person. That is when you have to live with so much negative emotions all throughout your life. Losing the best friend, losing the best husband, losing the best friend, companion you had in your life. Even children and parents have that distance in their lives. Just because their hearts are distanced, they don't know how to get back. So please love each other in such a way that you find your way back home. Because nothing is gonna last forever. Whatever you do has to be the best thing you are doing right now in the world, and making that thing to be the happiest thing that you had to do in your life. Because if you get into find the best loving person in your world, you will soon find faults in that person. You have that nature, the fault-finding mind. Please cut that off. Accept the good things of the person and find peace. You know the 3 rings that you go through when you are going through a marriage? Do you? I think you know. What are the 3 rings? Yes, engagement ring.
Yeah.
The second one, the wedding ring.
Yeah.
The third one, yeah, suffering. That happens. You know what happens in the first year of marriage? The wife listens to the husband. The second year, husband listens to wife. The third year, neighbors listen to both of them. Neighbors know everything about him. And also, in the marriage, one is always right, the other one is always husband. Or vice versa, I don't know. Depends on your family. And if you really find the best person to live with in your life, you will not be happy just because that person is too perfect. That's also becoming a problem for you. So even the perfection doesn't satisfy you. So please practice your love and kindness without having boundaries. When you practice loving kindness, you will not say, if you have someone, like for example, John is your enemy, you can say, may all beings be well and happy except John. If you really have that kind of anger, you will stop there. If you don't have that kind of enemy with you, you are not going to stop anywhere. You will develop an immeasurable mind. You will live like a Brahma in this world. A Brahma way of living is a living of a person who cultivates love, happiness, compassion, and a balanced state of mind. Be that person without expecting someone to be that person and train you. You are the one who becomes that. So keep some meditation going in your life every day, because this saying goes, if you are a busy person, if you are not a busy person, you should meditate 1 hour a day. If you are a busy person, you must meditate 2 hours a day. So if you complain that you are a busy person, you are the one who needs meditation. So keep purifying your mind. Don't let the things be rotten. And try to put all those 60 years of junk. Delete the trash. It's like learning computer. When you first learn the keyboard, you type here, type there, that key, this key. And eventually you say, hello Bhante, how are you? That's how you go. You don't have to even look at it. Meditation is the same thing. You just learn it and you keep going. It never stops. Even the Buddha meditated after enlightenment. Why did he do that? He didn't have to. Every day he did his meditation. He had that perfect balance and he maintained it. He knew how to maintain it. He was giving his immeasurable love and compassion to the world every day. For that he had to close his eyes and have his own time. He practiced that. So in order to be awakened people, you will be practicing your meditation the best possible way you can, and you will find happiness and peace. You are the one who is responsible. Nobody else is. Okay, thank you for listening and happy meditation. May all your Dhamma wishes come true. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let's transfer merits to our departed relatives by reciting the stanza. Idam me ñāti nang hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. Idam me ñāti nang hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. Idam me ñāti nang hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo. We may also pass merits to the deities who protect this Vihara and who protect our families. May all the deities, heavenly beings, be happy for the good deeds we do, good thoughts we do, good practices we do. May they all find happiness and may they all protect us in all walks of our lives. May we also be protected and may all our merits be seen and be rejoiced by the deities in heavenly existences. Akasattha ca bhummattha deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu loka sasanang. Akasattha ca bhummattha deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu dhamma desanam. Akasattha ca bhummattha deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu te mang sada. Ittavata ca ammehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. May the Triple Gem bless you. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Gilem obe gunamode vinim obe damsade vanim vanim obapade tilowag budu samide tilowag budu samide. Budu samide.